Hi, so my name's Mark Burbeck. I'm the founder, one of the organisers of the Our Fight campaign. So just come out of City Magistrate's Court at the end of the first day of the state versus Niyak Ghorbani. And unfortunately, they weren't able to finish the whole case in one day. You would have thought they would have had ample time. I'm not quite sure what I'm allowed to say about the case. So what I'll say, I'll describe exactly what the case is dealing with, and then maybe I can give a little bit of a flavour of some of the things that happened in the court without going into too much detail. So the case itself stems from March the 18th, earlier this year, March the 18th, 2025. Francesca Albanese was speaking at UCL. There was a big demonstration outside in support of Francesca Albanese, outside of the venue where she was speaking. Something like 80 to 100 anti-Israel protesters were there. And then on the other side of the road, there was a pro-Israel counter-protest. And some people were campaigning against Francesca Albanese speaking there. Niyak Ghorbani went to this event in his role as a journalist. So those of you who know Niyak Ghorbani, he has a YouTube channel. He frequently publishes on social media. He shares videos. He writes articles on X, and he generally puts out his opinions and his views on different things that are going on. And he definitely gets up close and personal to these kinds of events. So this is exactly the kind of event where he would be. And on this occasion, he was calmly filming the protesters. I was there also, so I saw a lot of what took place. He was calmly filming the protesters. The protesters did their usual thing, the anti-Israel protesters, of putting umbrellas and putting things in the way to try and block his filming. But footage that we were shown, and my own recollection of what happened, is that he didn't retaliate in any way. But in place on a lot of these demonstrations are what they call Section 14 rulings. So in this particular case, the pro-Israel side had a Section 14 ruling which said anybody who was protesting could not leave a particular area. So they had an area that was diagonally opposite the anti-Israel campaigners, protesters area. So Niyak was told that he had to go into this area because the police assumed that he was a protester, but he had nothing to indicate that he was a protester. So he had no flags. And this is a point that was repeatedly made in the court today by the defense. He had no flags, he had no T-shirts, he had no hats, he had nothing to indicate that he was protesting. And in fact, a point that kept emerging, the only thing that he had to indicate that he was protesting was, on the police's opinion, was the fact that he was Niyak Ghorbani. And in their view, they had seen him before, they knew who he was. So obviously this is a very important case, because the implication of that is that he can no longer be a journalist. They're implying that wherever he turns up, simply because he's Niyak Ghorbani, he is now a protester, which is obviously ridiculous. And points that are being made and being stressed by the defense is that this is about freedom of speech, the right to cover events as a journalist, the right to be there actually up close. On this particular occasion, what I remember, and this was a point that again was made in court, was that the anti-Israel group actually pressurized the police to have Niyak removed, which again is really striking, and that really goes against our right to report, our right to freedom of speech. They pressurized the police to say, look, this guy is known to us, get him over there under Section 14. They knew what they were doing, but they had no grounds to do that, and it is pretty shocking and damning that the police went along with this and basically did the bidding of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Anyway, unfortunately, this case hasn't been finished today, so we have to now come back in September, and the defense case will be put, and I'm sure we'll have more updates then.